Canon's getting ready to announce the Canon RF 100mm f2.8, and they're going to do so along with some other stunning lenses. This and more after the intro. Thanks for tuning in to The Ordinary Filmmaker. Subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, gear reviews, or tutorials. And a big thanks to Atomos for sponsoring The Ordinary Filmmaker. I'm using the Ninja 5 external recorder for all my studio work as it saves me a ton of time in post. So if you want to speed up your projects in post, then use my links down below to purchase your own Ninja and also support the channel. And now for the news. Nakashita reports that the Canon RF 100mm f2.8 L-series macro, the RF 400mm f2.8 L-series image stabilized USM, and the RF 600mm f4 L-series image stabilized USM have been added to Canon's latest product list. This is very good news. This is really good. Nakashita never gets these things wrong. They're highly reliable. So this means we should have an announcement in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And this is usually what happens once they enter the product list. And we should be able to purchase them by the end of the month. I'm very excited by these products. I used to have the Canon EF 100mm macro f2.8, and it was an incredible lens. But I got an interesting story behind this. I used to own the Canon 50D. This goes back many, many years. And the kit lens that came with it, I think, was something like a 17 to 87mm, and it wasn't the greatest lens. So I was looking at lenses I could get to improve my shots. And I thought, wow, this 100mm looks pretty good. They say it does pretty good at macro stuff, really stuff up close, but it also does a really good job at portraits. And portraits was something that I was really looking at getting into. So I read a lot of reviews, and back then YouTube wasn't as big. Most of your content was in the written form. So I scoured websites week after week looking for reviews, and the more I read, the more I loved this thing. But I didn't know cameras as well back then. I was using a DSLR with a 1.6 crop factor, and I really didn't know what that meant. Well, when I bought the lens, I was severely disappointed. If you're trying to shoot portraits with a 100mm macro on a 1.6 crop body, you're not going to get very good results. So I was disappointed, but I turned that disappointment into amazement because I started using it for what it was intended for macro photography, and it produced incredibly great shots. I was able to get up close to bees and other insects. I was able to get up close on plants and to be able to produce incredible tonneau. It was just absolutely breathtaking. I love the lens, but it was one of those lenses that I only took out of the bag, once or twice a year, and then I didn't really have much use for it. So after holding on to it for a very long time, I sold it a few years ago for $600. Yes, I do regret that decision. I wish I had kept it. But as soon as I heard that Canon's coming out with a 100mm RF version of this lens at also f2.8, also a macro, I became very interested. I thought, wow. I had a lot of fun with it when I was shooting macro stuff way back when, but I was just shooting stills. And I just got shivers down my back right now. You know what I'm thinking, right? Can you imagine shooting 8K video on this lens? Can you just imagine? Think back to the winter when I shot incredible shots of winter in 8K. I could only imagine what this 100mm macro f2.8 is going to deliver, the emotion I'm going to be able to pull from people when I show them incredibly stunning video. So I'm very interested in this lens. The only thing I'm scared off by, well, a couple of things. And the first is, as you might imagine, the price. If this is anything close to $3,000 Canadian, I'm going to have to walk away. But if it's around $2,000 Canadian, this is something it's going to be in my camera bag. I might hem and haw for a couple of months, but it's going to be in there. I'm going to talk to Patrick at Downtown Camera, see about getting one of these as soon as they come out to at least test, to try out, to do a review on, because I know I'm going to be excited by it. The only thing for video that I might be concerned about just a little bit, that's the focus motor. How loud is it? Now, it's not totally a big deal. For a lot of the stuff I'd be shooting with it, it doesn't matter. I can strip away the audio. I can put an instrumental behind it because I'm thinking of doing naturescapes with it. But I will explore it. I'll see what else I can use with it. So I'm really excited by that lens. And the other lens that I think is going to just be wow is that 600mm. It's f4. And let's park that for a minute there. I have the 800mm sitting right back there with one of the lights on it. It's the 800mm. I've got the 2x extender, and I've used this lens extensively. I would honestly say for the ordinary filmmaker, this has got to be an essential in your kit. It's going to be the most fun you're going to have with any lens. And if you're shooting in the summer months, spring and fall, where you've got pretty good light, and it doesn't matter if it's a cloudy day, this lens isn't going to disappoint. I've shot some great stuff in the summer. I've got shots of seagulls walking around from a huge distance away, and it did a really good job. But then I've also shot incredible shots of other birds and squirrels, and even the moon. So this is right at night. It's dark, shooting straight up with a 2x extender on with an f/22. And look how close I got to the moon here. Sure, the video is a little bit distorted a bit, but when you're getting that close, shooting through the atmosphere, I mean, with the heat rising up, what do you expect? That's something you are going to see. But the level of detail, the flyover of the moon, it's just staggering how beautiful that lens is. And now this was shot with the 2x extender on, but then this video here with Jupiter and its 4 moons, this was shot without the 2x extender on. So that's really powerful. Now, just going back to the 600mm again at f4 L series, the chromatic aberration is going to be much reduced. The sharpness from the center to the edges is going to be better. If you're doing wildlife and you've got the R5 or the R6 or even the EOS R, this is going to be an amazing lens. I'm afraid of the price of this thing. I know this thing's going to be too expensive for me to be able to purchase, although I'd love to be able to try it out. And maybe Neil at Canon Canada can let me borrow one of those. Or maybe even Patrick at Downtown Camera again can let me borrow one of those as well. But whenever I sign out the lenses to try them out for review, he always has me sign an invoice for him. So if I break it, I buy it. And I'm always careful about reviewing things that are a little bit too expensive because I don't want to risk breaking it and then buying it. I mean, that's the worst of both worlds, right? You bought it and it doesn't work. So very interesting. The 400mm is very interesting too, but I don't know. I know it's wider f2.8, but the 600mm, that super telephoto, it changes things. When you start taking photos of whatever it is you're shooting, like birds and other animals, they don't see you coming. It's incredible. You can get up close, see them go about their life, and they don't know you're there. You can't do the same with 400mm. Well, you can. You have to be camouflaged. You need to be in duck blinds and other things, but the 600 and 800mm, you can be right out there. They don't even know you're there, and that's the real power of those things. So I'm really excited by those. Yeah, the only disappointment is my fear of the pricing of some of these things. I really do hope Canon doesn't use this as an opportunity to make a little bit more money off us. I really do hope they come in with a very affordable price. Now, I know what you're thinking. The 100mm maybe, but the chances of that thing costing anything less than $2,000 Canadian, I think, is far-fetched. I think that one's going to probably come in closer around $2,000 US. I hope not. I really do. But on that terrible disappointment about the price, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. Don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win 2 Angelbird 128GB AV Pro MK2 V90 SD cards, along with an Angelbird dual SD card reader. Well, you could also win a Ulanzi LED light package with accent lights, an underwater light, and various other flat panel lights that you can use for lighting your subject, or as a great starter kit for someone starting their own YouTube channel. I'll be awarding these 2 prize bundles once the channel reaches 30,000 subscribers. And then, once I get to 100,000, I'll be awarding or giving away a brand new Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera to one lucky viewer. And on that bombshell, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. Have yourself a safe and happy weekend, happy Easter, and we'll see you again soon.